Start with Justin Spears, Arizona Daily Star.
Coach, you mentioned Eastern Washington was a really good team heading into this match, and obviously they gave you a really good game. What's your overall assessment of today's game?
Well, we were very fortunate to win. I thought it was a win that we earned. I don't think they caved in or gave it to us in any way, shape, or form. They were the team that I described. They're the team that obviously when you're returning, the Big Sky preseason player of the year, Kim Aiken, who's a very tough matchup for a front court player who's an all-conference player. They depend so much on a three-point shot. They're constantly putting pressure on your defense. And, for a team like ours, it took us a while to adjust. One thing that set us up for a very subpar first half on defense was in the first 8 minutes, although we had a lead, we broke down. They just missed some open looks. But those same open looks, as we continued to break down, they made us pay. And, when you give up 8 for 16 from 3 at halftime, that's a tall order. And they were also scoring from 2. But, the first 4 minutes of the second half, I don't believe they scored a point. They were 7 for 28 in the second half from the field and 2 for 15 from 3. I thought our defense was much, much better. Were we perfect? No, we still had some breakdowns, but I thought we wore them down a little bit. And our defense in the second half was a big reason we won the game.
And what did you see out of Azuolas Tubelis today?
He took a big step forward today. He today was more of the player that he's going to be. In fairness to our freshmen, I mean, I've been through it, so I know I don't have to keep repeating myself, but this freshman class, they have to learn through fire right now. And, Azuolas was much more confident, much more sure of himself in tonight's ball game, today's game against Eastern Washington than he was in our season opener. And I think that will continue as we move forward. But he's a big reason that we won. I thought he was one of our team's best players. We also benefited quite a bit from getting Ira Lee back and having him not only with us in today's game, but in practices leading up to the game. Ira's physicality, rebounding experience in a game like this early on, we really used him to our advantage, and he contributed in a big way. Jordan Brown and Christian Coloco both had tough games. They were in foul trouble. And I think that's the good news for us, to be able to win against a team like Eastern Washington with those two guys playing the way they did and being in foul trouble. We can really take some good value out of that.
Next question, Alec White, Arizona Daily Star.
Yeah, along the same lines with Azuolas, the TV broadcast was saying that he's developed a better jumper in your eyes and can shoot the ball, 17, 18 feet outside the basket. Do you see that from him in practice? And is he somebody that we can expect to see hitting more of those baseline jumpers that he was hitting today?
No, he's a lot like Zeke Naji and DeAndre Ayton in that he has like this uncanny touch from about 15 to 17 feet. Those tough baseline jump shots, elbow jumpers, just inside the three-point line, that sometimes you're like, I don't know if that's a good shot. That is a good shot for him. And I think his range will continue to grow and increase as he gets older and practices more. And most importantly, and I saw it with Lowry Markkanen, he's starting to learn the physicality around the basket. He's more sure of himself. He pursued the ball with two hands. A couple of the times he got fouled, he was very close to finishing, and he helped us on the offensive glass more. But he's getting more accustomed to the difference of style. And but he played very good tonight. I don't think we would have won the ball game if he didn't take the step forward that he did take.
And then for Christian, second game this season that he's had an up and down, uneven performance. What do you need to see from him to change his style of play to reach the expectations that have been set upon him?
Well, he's going to keep getting better. Christian, although he's a sophomore, you guys know this. He's a very inexperienced player. He's a very hard worker and a talented kid. Every time that he plays a game and learns, sometimes through failure, sometimes through success, he'll get better. But we need him to be better. He knows that, and we know that.
Next question, Steve Rivera, Fox Sports 1450.
Yeah, Sean, about 7 minutes left. You were down by 8. You went small. You must like that lineup. And I think Akinjo may have been playing a little off the ball more, true? And how'd you like? What'd you like?
Well, Terrell Brown, I look, he has 3 assists and 1 turnover here again tonight. I think so. Now he's 10 assists in 2 games with 3 turnovers. It's something that he does well. And it frees James up to kind of attack the basket off the ball some. We did go small at the end. I thought that helped us defend the 3-point shot on defense, and it maybe allowed us to drive the ball. Most of our baskets down the stretch were shots right at the rim. And, again, that's what our team has to learn. We shot some tough off the dribble pull-up 2s in the first half. Even a couple that we made. We're not going to win shooting those types of shots. We want drives and post-ups, and we want to attack so we get fouled, and we want to create wide open 1-2 step 3-point shots. But until we play a couple games, you're not going to be able to learn that. And I think that today's game is a way for us to learn about a lot of things. Some which we didn't do well, but to be able to win, and you guys know how college basketball works. A team like that is going to win quite a few games, and they're a very dangerous, organized, well-coached group. And we are fortunate to win, but I think it's a win that we earned. We respected them a great deal, and I'm glad we played the game. Part of us growing as a team is to get through these types of games, and hopefully on Monday we'll be better. We were overall a more confident and better group today than we were against Grambling, and I would expect us to do the same thing as we move towards Northern Arizona on Monday.
Along those lines, just real quick, you may have already said this. So in a coach, they want to play better from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. Did you see some of that?
Yeah, for sure. I would say that without Ira Lee and with Ira Lee, we're a better team. We were really able to utilize Ira's athleticism and quickness to help us switch and take away the 3-point shot. When you have to switch as much as we did in that game, it puts a lot of pressure on drives, a lot of pressure on communication. And, some of the breakdowns that we had, I wish we were better at it, but, we failed. 2 guys went with the ball. We had a couple breakdowns where, we switched when we weren't supposed to. And as we sub and as they sub, the games changes. So, it's all about experience right now. And the more experience we get, the better overall group we will be.
Next question, Troy Hutchison, All Sports Tucson.
Coach, one of the areas that looked like you guys improved tonight on was rebounding. You only out-rebounded Grambling by 4 or 5 rebounds, and then tonight in the second half against Eastern Washington, you're able to win the rebounding battle by 20 rebounds. Could you just talk about the rebounding effort?
Well, we had to do that tonight. Eastern Washington, again, one of the things that makes them unique is they really aren't trying to rebound offensively. So they get their entire group back. So what they try to do is take away your transition opportunities, right? Because they miss, and although they're not going to get second chance points, you're not going to get the 3-pointers, the open court opportunities that we all really love to get. So that's different. But we rebounded, and I don't have the rebounding in front of me like this, but I thought our second half rebounding was better than our first half. And, we had a big advantage there, and we needed to take advantage of that.
Next question, Bruce Pasco, Arizona Daily Star.
Yeah, Sean, when you say that the breakdowns in the first half versus the second half were so much less in the second half, I was wondering, were you trying to switch more, or was it just a case of guys communicating better on switches, or maybe that smaller lineup that kind of did the trick for you in there in the second half? Or what about it schematically, I guess?
Yeah, no, I think it was all three things. The smaller lineup late helped us, but we didn't go to that until it was late. The first half almost gave us repetitions that we needed so that we were better in the second half. I thought the first 4 minutes of the second half set the tone for a lot of good things. I mean, we weren't scoring, but I don't believe they scored a field goal or a single point for over 4 straight minutes. And going into halftime, I think we had them. They had scored 10 of their last 12 trips of the first half. They scored. So we really struggled in the last 8 to 10 minutes of the first half. I thought we repaired ourselves at the beginning of the second half, and then our defense just was better overall in the second half. And we probably wore them out some. We played 9 players, with COVID and everything that happens. I mean, it's just it's a war of attrition sometimes.
Do you think too that this is the kind of game you're down by 8 in the second half? Maybe maybe if you have crowd in here, they're standing on their feet trying to cheer you on. I mean, it seemed like maybe that wasn't a factor. The guys were able to create their own energy. What did you see there, and or is it just guys' natural competitiveness? What kind of helped them through that?
Well, yes. I mean, you lose your home court advantage to a large extent, but even with our great crowd, I mean, it still comes from within, and the 5 players that are out there have to do it, right? And our guys, they dug deep. I mean, we've worked hard. I think I've been pretty consistent in describing our team, and that our guys have really sacrificed, and they're working hard. They're practicing hard. We're coaching them hard. That doesn't mean that we're good, or doesn't mean we're going to beat Eastern Washington, but as long as our collective attitude stays the same, we'll be a steadily improving group. And a big reason why I say that is very few teams that are playing right now are more inexperienced together than Arizona. So you feel that with everything that we do. And my hope is that as the weeks of December march on, that we're more sure of ourselves. Some of it is we learn more about our players as well. We're very much a work in progress.
Thanks.
Next question, Jacob Minuti, Daily Wildcat.
This is the second game now. You guys have kind of struggled with fouls and getting into some foul trouble. I mean, what can you say about that? Would you describe it as just a string of bad luck with the fouls, or are you guys doing something wrong in particular? I mean, what can you say about that?
My educated guess here is that we've had 8 to 10 offensive fouls in 2 games. We're really the only game of basketball. The NBA, the G League, FIBA especially, any type of play in Europe, the defense goes vertical. They jump straight up when they're in the cylinder, and sometimes the off-ball defender, if he's there very early, he may draw a charge. If you try to go through the on-ball defender's chest, sometimes that becomes an offensive foul. The offensive player using his arm. I think those things are called throughout. But, college basketball is so much about running full speed and just falling down, leaving the corners, and guy leaves his feet sliding underneath him. Any big who's got the ball in and around the goal as he dribbles to turn to just fall down. And it's like, I'm not even saying that to complain, but, we have to do a better job of drawing the charge ourselves on the ball, off the ball, bigs, because it's just, I mean, it's crazy. If you run into a screen on defense, whether you're on the ball or whether you're off the ball, if you're guarding the dribbler or the cutter, I can make a strong argument that that's not a good defensive play. Like, you just ran right into the screen. So the offense benefits. It's almost like if you run into the screen, it's a foul. And again, offensively, like if you think about 16 turnovers and fouls on both Jordan Brown and Koloko, I mean, we had to have 5 to 7, 8 offensive fouls. And I think we had a handful against Grambling. So we have to clean that up ourselves. I think we have to kind of join the party and flop and run full speed and take fouls with our chest and slide in underneath and any low post guy when he turns, draw the charge and teach it, because those are big plays. You know, those are turnovers on the offense, fouls on the other team's good player. And a lot of times it erases a basket. I mean, I think we had one or two where we were rim running without the ball in transition, had our hands up, you know, trying to get position. And if the defender just falls down, there's a chance that it's an offensive foul. So, I mean, it's a hard game to watch. And I think it's really the only game that's really called like that. But that's the rules. That's how it's being called. And I think it's something that really even tomorrow we're going to work hard on. You know, again, fall down, run into screens, you know, just boom, throw your head back, draw charges instead of, you know, trying to go vertical. And, you know, good players don't get screened. That's one of the things we try to talk about, like with our defense, don't run into the screens, right? Good players don't get screened, avoid the screens. But running into them, I think, is beneficial right now, the way the game's being called. And we certainly have to adjust to that. That's 100% on me.
Next question back to Steve Rivera.
Deshaun, you just mentioned you played 9 guys today. I think you played 9 guys the last game. With the games coming up real quick here, 3 in a row, maybe even go deeper?
No, I think 9 guys is where we're at. I could see that, you know, some guys like Ben Matherine, he'll continue to get more opportunity as he's more sure of himself. Ditto for Azuolas, and there might be a few guys that get less opportunity, but right now that's the group 9. And look, I just hope that all 9 are available. I mean, we could get to Monday and, you know, not have all 9 available. So we're trying to keep our players safe and healthy. We're trying to be smart, trying to practice hard. And, you know, our guys have a huge week academically. Most of them have final papers and exams. We're finishing up the first semester. So we're really engaged with our players right now on a lot of levels. And I know they're excited to play another game on Monday. The last thing they want to do is string together 4 or 5 practices right now. I mean, we've practiced enough. We need game experience right now.
We have time for one more question for Coach. We'll go back to Bruce Pascal.
Sean, just following up on that, actually, are Todd Vilas and Tibet available if you want to use them, or kind of what's their status? I know they're here, but you haven't played them. I didn't know.
Yep, they're both available, and they're both practicing hard and getting better.
Okay, and if I could ask you too, it looked like you were asking about that technical on Ira. I assume it sounded like he just said something. I mean, was that what it was, the technical, or?
Yeah, I mean, Ira has to control his emotions. I don't think he meant anything by it. You know, early in the season, game 2, you know, sometimes as the coach, you just want them to teach your players as well. You know, like, hey, Ira, the next time you do that, you're going to get a technical foul. Because I don't think he taunted as much as maybe, you know, said, hey, get the ball out of there or whatever. He didn't do it towards the official. But, you know, again, Ira has to be smarter. That was 2 points that we gave them. But you know, you hope that those officials are working with the players. I mean, these kids have been through a lot. They're just starting out their season. And, you know, the technical, you want it to really be warranted. And maybe it was, but I think conversations sometimes here early, they really starts to get the players' mindsets in the right place where next time they don't do that because they were warned.
Okay.
But Ira will learn from it. He's a senior. We certainly are banking on his experience right now.
Okay. And finally, I'm fully aware that Kerr is here, but I didn't know he wasn't on your bench tonight. And I'm just wondering, does he have to stay away and isolate for a few games, or what's the word on that?
I mean, all that I can tell you, Bruce, is we're following the Pima County Health Code, the state of Arizona's guidelines, CDC guidelines, Dr. Anthony Fauci's guidelines, the United States of America's guidelines, We've checked with Estonia and FIBA. And I think you know the answer to your question. We're trying to keep him safe. He's isolated at the moment. He's being tested. He was tested in the European Championship that he was a part of. We're testing him here now. But to expose him to our team or our team to him isn't the safest way to deal with both Kerr and our team. But he is in Tucson, and he'll rejoin us here at some point in the coming days when Dr. Paul says it's okay, when he's passed, multiple COVID tests, when he's been isolated for several days, maybe even a week, maybe more than a week. So it's really not my call other than just to listen and have Kerr listen. But I think you know that he's in Tucson, and we're hoping that he'll join us at some point once the health and safety and well-being of our team and him are addressed.
All right. Thank you, everybody.